What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my Draftkings MMA picks for UFC 301. We got Alexander Pantoja going against Steve Erceg. We have a 14-fight card here, pay-per-view, very interesting Draftkings slate. A lot of big favorites, some minus 500s, minus 600s. I think even like a minus 700 now in Michel Pereira. So lineup construction is going to be very interesting. Can't wait to break it all down, talk through this card from a DraftKings perspective here. Before we do so, if you guys could like the video, subscribe if you have not already. Check out dfsbythenumbers.com. That's where you'll find all my other content. DraftKings article, PrizePicks article, the stats, targets, projections, rankings, lineup optimizer, just a ton more content on the website, dfsbythenumbers.com. And all the content should be updated and out by sometime Friday there after weigh-ins and all that. And then lastly, be sure to check out PrizePicks if you guys want to get a 100% deposit match. Check out that promo code DFSBTN and get that. And then we'll touch on some PrizePicks mid-video. A couple plays I really like this week from a PrizePicks perspective. But let's get into it, guys. So we'll start with the fight doesn't go to decision lines. I personally do think we're going to get a lot of decisions of this card. We're in the bigger cage, and this first fight though, Michel Pereira, Ihor Potieria, fight doesn't go minus 600. I struggle to see this one going the distance. And yeah, we got Michel Pereira as a massive favorite. Like I said, minus 700 on some books, and immediately you kind of pause a little bit because Michel Pereira, he has, had some stunts in the past. The Tristan Connolly stunt was a terrible look, losing to Tristan Connolly, gassing out. Diego Sanchez, the disqualification loss there, not a good look. But since then, he's been solid. He's been trustworthy. He's been looking good, and especially since moving up to middleweight, going out there and getting back-to-back finishes around like 60 seconds. So yeah, it's Michel Pereira for me at 9,600. He's super expensive, but I mean, if he's finishing dudes in 60 seconds. He's live for that 60-second bonus. Ihor Potieria, honestly, in my opinion at least, is a step down from a Petrosky and a step down from a Mikhail Olazechuk. So yeah, I do think Pereira probably does style on him and finish him early as well. But Ihor Potieria, 6,600, super cheap. Like if Pereira goes out there and pulls off a stunt, and you get Potieria in your lineup, very low ownership, I think it could be worth some sprinkles there. But yeah, interesting fight. To kick off the slide here, we got Hoofi Malarkey minus 275 for the fight. Doesn't go to decision. Something to note is Hoofi's never went the distance. With that said, he almost did in his last fight on the Contender Series, and maybe he does here, but I think a Hoofi win is a knockout. I really don't see him winning any other way. That's pretty much how he's winning all of his other fights. 100% finish rate, all by knockout. He's not winning decisions, and I don't think he's winning one here. He's not winning by submission, especially here as well. So I think it's Hoofi by knockout. He's 8,400. So, there is some value here in terms of, this line's been crushed throughout the week. A lot of people on Hoofi, a lot of people fading the chin of Jamie Malarkey. So Hoofi at 8,400, if he's winning, it's probably a knockout, and it's probably within the first 2 rounds there. So I don't mind Hoofi. As far as Malarkey, I think Malarkey, what I'll say is I think he's going to be very low owned this week. And if this fight does get extended to go the distance, like he's not a bad fighter at all. He's fought some really good guys in the UFC. He has some paths here. I think he's probably the higher volume striker. I think he's the guy with the wrestling upside here. It's just the chin of Malarkey is kind of the thing. But overall, I think it's a really good fight to target. You got the knockout upside of Hoofi, and then the decent upside, low ownership of Jamie Malarkey. Next, we got Vitor Petrino going against Anthony Smith. Not in love with this fight from a DraftKings perspective. I'm not touching Smith here, 6,800. I struggle to see him winning this fight. As far as Petrino, it's a tough one because he's very expensive, and he can win like in any method imaginable here. I think he can go out there and win a dominant decision via takedowns, control time. I think he can go out there and win by knockout. So I think he does have some upside. There are some other plays I do like a little bit more than Petrino, but I think it's Petrino or Passering. I'm not getting to Smith. I think there's some dart throws on this card, some plays I like that are low salary, and Smith is not really one of them. Next, we got Kyle Bahio going against Paul Craig. It is a Paul Craig fight. That means it should be targeted, and that means that it is probably finishing inside the distance. Kyle Bahio, I think he's like minus 675 now, which is kind of crazy because Paul Craig's like live to submit anybody really in the UFC. But this should be a Kyle Bahio win. I think he can go out there and win by knockout even. I think it could be dominant. As far as Paul Craig, the ultimate dart throw. Anytime Paul Craig's fighting, you throw him in some lineups and hope he gets that submission off his back or gets on top and finishes the fight. But yeah, this should be Kyle. But yeah, Paul Craig, like I said, always in play. Core plays here. Speaking of Kyle, now 9,500. I like this matchup for him. I think he has a clear path here, and I think that path is going to be stuffing the takedowns, keeping this on the feet, and finding the knockout. Paul Craig, he's now 36 years old. He's cutting down to middleweight for the third time now. Flew all the way to Brazil. I don't think the chin's getting any better. Kyle Bahaio's not some murderous power puncher, but I really don't think he needs to be here. So yeah, as long as Kyle keeps it on the feet, and I think the knockout will come. Could be early as well. So yeah, I don't mind some Kyle. I guess he does have some wrestling, some takedown, control time ups. If he wants it, he can get it. But I just think the best path would be keeping it on the feet and finding that knockout there at 9,500. Alexander Pantoja, 8,800. Yeah, you got to like Pantoja from a DraftKings perspective. He's not too expensive. 5 rounds to work with. Takedown upside, control time upside. This guy's been going out there and just landing takedown after takedown. He's went 50 minutes in his last 2 fights. Both of them went 5 rounds. He racked up 14 total takedowns. And not only that, like when he's getting takedowns, he's getting that control time. He's very active with it. And you get, like I said, 25 minutes to work with. So if this fight does get extended, does go 5 rounds, I think Pantoja has a really high ceiling and then even a high floor as well. Pantoja is a guy that's never been finished, and I don't think that changes here. Joe Anderson Brito, 8,500. You're getting the guy with all the finish upside here, in my opinion. He's very dangerous. Jack Shore does potentially have some paths here with the wrestling, maybe control Brito a little bit. I just think at some point Brito's going to land a big shot. He's going to catch Jack Shore in something and finish him at 8,500 with the finishing upside of Brito. I like it. This is a guy that has a 88% finish rate, and he can beat you by knockout. He can beat you by sub, and I think he's live for that finish here against Jack Shore. Mauricio Hufi, 8,400, we talked about a little bit just due to the fact that, we're getting some value here. This is a guy that is, I think, like minus 200 to minus 225, even wider on some books. Jamie Malarkey, everybody knows by now, the chin's not great. 5 knockout losses for Jamie Malarkey. He's getting hurt in pretty much every single fight. Like, I can't remember off the top of my head a fight where Jamie Malarkey's not been, hurt in a fight. So he's he's only taken more damage. He's coming off a knockout loss that wasn't too long ago. I think it was like late December. So yeah, Hufi, 8,400. He will be popular, but I think he's live to knock out Jamie Malarkey like most people are. GBP plays here. We got Michel Pereira, 9,600, extremely expensive, but I think he's so much better than Ihor. For Michel Pereira to lose this fight, he's going to have to pull just a massive stunt, just an absolute massive stunt. He should be able to go out there and probably finish early as well. Probably finish in the first round. Again, 60-second upside. That's what he's been doing since moving up to middleweight, just serving guys in 60 seconds, and I think that could be in play here. Michel Pereira looks like a killer at this weight class. Vitor Petrino, 9,400. Yeah, I think it's safe. I think it's a safe play. Does he have a ton of upside? I'm not sure. Like, he could go out there, land some takedowns, get some control time. Could go out there, starch Anthony Smith. But Vitor can be a little bit low volume at times. I think this fight could drag out a little bit, but I think he has some paths here certainly to go out there and score well with an early finish or just like a very, very, very dominant decision win. So I don't mind some Petrino. Some spots I like better. I like Kyle better, Pereira better. Some guys that are a little bit cheaper, a little bit better, but Petrino's definitely in play here as a tournament play. My titty back Oral Buy, my bad. 9,000. This is a guy who I think has a ton of upside as well. A guy that I really like at 9,000. He went out there against Eros Medic and scored 1 million points. He went out there on short notice too, and I think he scored like 120 something. And that's kind of what you could expect from the guy. I think he's a really solid striker. I think he has some solid power, but it's going to be the wrestling, like the non-stop ability to wrestle that can really rack up a ton of points across 15, or maybe he can even finish Brenner. I'm kind of leaning decision, but even in a decision, like this guy can go out there and rack up takedown after takedown. I like some Oral Buy at 9,000. Alessandro Costa, 8,200. What I'll say is this is the first fight of the card. I think it's an important one. I think this fight's an absolute banger. I think this fight probably finishes inside the distance. Both guys have power, Borjas and Costa, but Costa's going to have the grappling path here. Borjas, He's been submitted before. It was a club and sub, but it's been submitted before nonetheless as a pro and as an amateur. He's been submitted twice. Alessandro Costa, black belt in BJJ. If he can get the fight down to the mat, I think he's live for the sub. But even on the feet, this guy throws power as well. So first fight of the night, I think it's important, and I don't mind some Costa. Live dogs here. There's not a ton of live dogs that I like on this card. But I think Jose Aldo is a very live dog this week, 7,900. With that said, I'm not sure how much upside Jose Aldo has. A lot of people are taking Aldo to win by knockout, which I kind of get it, just because Jonathan Martinez, we've seen him hurt. We saw him dropped by Alejandro Perez. He was knocked out by Davey Grant. So Jose Aldo, a knockout could be on the table, and if he gets a knockout at 7,900, you're looking good. But I'm kind of more so leaning a decision, and at that point, I'm not sure how well he does score, but I think he's a very live dog here. There are some serious question marks with Jose Aldo in terms of he's been away for a while, but if he shows up and he still looks, halfway decent, I think it's, stylistically, it's a very winnable fight for him, or at the very least, make it a very close fight at 7,900. So I don't mind some Jose Aldo. Kevin Borjas, we talked about this fight a little bit, 8,000. He's going to just stand and bang with Costa when this fight is on the feet. Borjas has a lot of power, a lot of volume. Costa's been chinny in the past. He's been knocked out twice. So, yeah, don't mind some Borjas in that first fight of the night. Gonna have slightly more Costa, I'd say, for the grappling upside. But Borjas, this is a guy that's certainly a live dog. Joaquim Silva, 7,500, a fight as a whole that I think could go underlooked. But this close Silva fight, I think, could score pretty decently. And I think both guys could be live for a finish, including Joaquim Silva. Like, Joaquim Silva, the nickname is Neto BJJ. I don't expect him to grapple here, but what I do expect him to do is to go out there and just throw down. I mean, he throws really hard. We've seen Drakkar Klose hurt. We've seen Drakkar Klose knocked out before in the UFC, and Silva, he has a lot of power in his hands. He's 7,500. I don't mind some Silva there. And then Steve Erceg, 7,400. Main event, 5 rounds. Underdog here. He's very cheap. I don't mind some Steve Erceg. I like Pantoja, and I like him quite a bit, but you got to play some Erceg here. All right, let's get to the PrizePicks play of the week. I debated between like 2 or 3 other plays. There's a lot of things sticking out on PrizePicks, but I went with a Hoofy, less on significant strikes, 46.5 for a couple reasons. The first reason, he's very low volume in general. In his Dana White's Contender Series fight, I think he landed like a combined 35, 30, 36 strikes between the first 2 rounds in that fight. So I think, the low volume nature of things can make it go less here. And then also, I just struggle to see Jamie Malarkey taking 47 significant strikes against really anybody ever. So, yeah, I think this goes less. I think it's either Hoofy, being very low volume across 15, Hoofy maybe getting taken down here and there by Malarkey, or I think the most likely scenario is a Hoofy, knockout. So give me the less on the significant strikes. If you guys want to check it out, go to PrizePicks, use that promo code DFSBTN, and then I'll be getting out my PrizePicks article on the website, dfsbythenumbers.com as well. Moving on, we got the pump plays. Got Paul Craig, 6,900. By the way, I kind of dig the hair. I don't know what he's doing there, but I kind of dig it. Paul Craig's always a pump play. He's always a live dog. He's always a dart throw. You got to play this guy no matter who he's fighting. He's live to submit literally anybody. He's beaten Jamal Hill. He's beaten Magomed Ankalaev. You look at this guy's resume, and there's just wins where it's like, how the heck did he beat that guy? It's because he's Paul Craig, and this is a fight he's absolutely expected to lose, but that's kind of when Paul Craig's, most dangerous. So, although I love Caio Borralho to win this fight, Paul Craig should not be ignored. Ihor Potieria, 6,600 here. The cheapest on the card. Skill for skill, it's not even close at all, but when you're playing a little, dart throw on Ihor here, you're banking on Michel Pereira just pulling a massive stunt, which he's pulled a couple massive stunts in his career. So I wouldn't put it past Michel Pereira to go out there in Brazil and pull a massive stunt. If he does, Potieria, 6,600, extremely low owned. I'm going to have some sprinkles. I fully expect Pereira to starch this guy, but like I said, Pereira, he's done some wild things in the past. And then the fade, yeah, there's a couple here, but I think the biggest one for me is Bonfim. Like, there's so many great plays up at this 9K range. I think Bonfim wins this fight. Very confident he wins this fight, but 0 grappling upside. And maybe he can finish Pachel's so tough. I kind of think Bonfim wins this by decision. just outpointing Vince Pichel across 15 minutes, and I don't think that path is going to score well, where you have Akayo, who I think is very live to finish Paul Craig. You got even like Lucindo. You got Petrino, who I think is live to potentially finish Anthony Smith, and some other really good plays up here. So Oral By as well. So yeah, I don't mind fading Bonfim there. And there you guys have it. Those are the DraftKings picks for UFC 301. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like on your way out, subscribe, check out DFS by the numbers, and check out PrizePicks and use that promo code DFSBTN. And we'll talk to you guys very soon. See you later.